going on, everybody? Isaac here with Civil Engineering Academy coming at you with another fun podcast episode. I'm excited to share this one with you. I bring on a very special guest. It's Vinod Dega, who is the founder and president of the School of PE, which is part of the EduMind umbrella of companies. But he actually is the founder of the School of PE. He has a master's degree in civil and transportation from The Ohio State University. He is a professional engineer. He's a professional traffic operations engineer, and he also has his PMP or project management professional license. So a lot of credentials going on there. He started the School of PE back in 2004, and before that he worked as a professional for the last 10 years doing civil engineering work. So anyway, he has a very interesting story. We talk about how he started School of PE, why he started it, and more importantly, we talk about the resources that School of PE has been producing. They've recently been upping the game in producing content for engineers to pass their FE and also their PE exams, including some books for your studies, so the breadth and the depth. And so I wanted to talk about how those are developed, how they came up with those, kind of the background, open the curtain a little bit and see how they developed those. And it's going to be a fun interview, talk about a lot of different things. I think you're definitely going to learn some stuff. It was just a pleasant interview. If you reach out to him on LinkedIn or Twitter, give him a thank you for joining us. I'd really appreciate that. So anyway, with that, we will get to the episode coming right up. All right, I'm excited. I got Vinod on here with us today. How's it going, Vinod?
Good. Fantastic.
Oh, good. So Vinod's in Ohio, where the headquarters is for School of PE, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
All right.
Ohio, yeah.
That's great. So I am going to read a little bit about your background, but I think it would be really helpful if maybe you could dive in to your own background. Tell us maybe how you started this, or even how you got into engineering and then started this. Give us a little bit about your background.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for the time, Isaac. My background is I'm a civil engineer by profession. I have done my master's in civil and transportation engineering from the Ohio State University. And I practiced engineering for close to 15 years before I started the School of PE. Regarding how I got into School of PE, there are two main reasons. Mm-hmm. My passion for teaching and helping fellow engineers. Actually, when I came to this country, I'm originally from India. When I came to this country, my goal was to do a PhD and go into teaching. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that did not happen. And that dream remained unfulfilled for me. So while practicing engineering, I noticed my fellow employees, engineers, were struggling in their preparation for their FE and PE exams. So I helped some of them to prepare and pass. So during that process, I noticed that the struggle for them was not knowing what to study. So then I thought there probably a lot of people like them need support in their exam preparation, and I started School of PE. So that not only fulfilled my passion for teaching, and also I'm able to help fellow engineers. So that is my background.
So did you start that in Ohio then, where you just started teaching classes?
I came here, went to Ohio State University, and I stayed back in Ohio. Started in Ohio.
Wow, that's great. So fast forward to today, and School of PE is a bigger company. And what I've noticed is that School of PE is starting to really develop some really neat resources to help engineers with their studies as well. And so I thought it would be fun to kind of dive into how you're developing these, because we're kind of on the front end of this a little bit, and find out kind of maybe pull the curtain a little bit on how these resources were developed, which would be fun. So I think we share a similar story. I think I was same boat. When I started Civil Engineering Academy, I kind of just wanted to be a guy in the trenches that wanted to help other people get, earn the professional license, and that's kind of how it developed. So we were able to connect through some of the resources you guys are providing, and so I wanted to kind of dive into that. But can you tell us about some of the books and resources you have out right now, and what you have going on?
Okay, so we have, as of today, we have 7 publications. So one is the PE Civil Exam Review Guide for the breadth exam. And as of yesterday, we have established 5 depth books as well. So construction, geotech, structural, transportation, water resource, environmental. So all these depth books are also prepared. Now they are out in the sense we just got our last publication yesterday. And in addition, we also have developed a FE Civil Engineering manual as well. So we have 7 publications now. Wow.
Could you dive into a little bit about how maybe, I guess, any one of those, how one is maybe developed? How did you start that? I mean, what's the...
Yeah. So first, what we do is we look at our instructors pool. We have so many instructors as throughout our journey. We have established relationship with so many people who teach for us. Okay. So what we do is first we look into our instructors. And also another thing we do is we don't want like a one person writing the entire book. So because we believe in each person has their own specialized field, so we make sure that the specialized person writes their own section. So that's why we always go with the multiple authors. That's the same thing we do with our courses as well. And then we assign which topic goes to which author, and then we also decide the deadlines. Once we decide the deadlines and we work with them and help them, and have other people review as they develop it. So that's how our book preparation goes on.
Wow. I'm curious maybe how, I have a couple books in front of me. One of them's the PE Civil Exam Review Guide, which is the breadth book that I think you guys developed right there. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking through it, and you've got some neat things in here. One of them I can tell off the bat is that it's definitely got a modern feel to the book. Mm-hmm. I'm used to seeing black and white, but this is a colored, a colored copy of this book. I mean, was that a decision that had to be made if you were going to use color or not? Or because I imagine all those things add to the cost of the development of this.
Yes. So yeah, you're absolutely right. So we wanted our books to be as useful as possible to our students. So we made some design decisions in line with our goals. Okay. So we felt that use of colors would help students understand figures better. So we actually, it's not something like we try to use color for every figure or something. We try to use color only where it would enhance the image and make it very clear to them. And then we also used color to set. So sometimes when you look at the things, how it catches your eyes, right? So what we also try to do is there is a introduction, content portion, reading portion. There are examples. Even those also we try to separate when someone opens the book and they want to jump to the examples. So it is very catchy that they can just jump to the examples with the color separation.
Yeah, I'm going to hold this up to my camera, but you can see that there's tabs in there, all color-coded sections of the book already that you could easily, if you're studying for the PE exam, you could put a tab in there real easily if you wanted to, or you might not even need it. You just go to these color-coded sections, which is really nice.
Exactly.
I want to talk a little bit about the use of something I've never seen in books before, but it's these VR codes, AR codes is I guess what you call them. Mm-hmm. So can you talk how the decision was to use those, maybe how those are even developed and why you threw them in here? And I'll show on the camera a little picture of those. So there's an example of some of those, what they do and how those are developed.
Yeah. So we wanted our books to be dynamic. Okay, or in other words, interactive rather than just to be static. When you open a book, when you read it, okay. So we wanted to make them dynamic and interactive. So as students read the book, we wanted them to get some supplemental information to help enhance the reading experience and also learn faster. So we are fortunate to have a sister company, Holo Pundits, which is specialized in augmented reality and virtual reality, which is AR and VR short terms. So they, as part of that company, there's a platform called Total AR. So the Total AR allows these days, one of the things, everyone would have, when they are awake, there's one item they always will carry is mobile device, right? Without a mobile device, you don't go anywhere. So that's the device you always have. So even when you're reading the book, you would have the device next to you. And we felt, what if we use that device and when you're reading, get more information from the book rather than just what is in there. So that's why we brought this technology, augmented reality technology into that book. And we call them, it's similar to QR codes, but we call them TAR codes, which are specific to the augmented reality. So we implemented them. And so we wanted the students to have useful study tools to learn the material, like quizzes, flashcards, all those things. They can get it while they're reading. And the most important thing is, so today, when you focus to that one, you get like some flashcards, okay, on a certain page. And then next week, it could be different flashcards. So we can always change that content. And then they always get the latest one when they're studying.
Smart. I think what I liked when I was reviewing this book, if you guys want to check it out, I have done reviews of these books on our YouTube channel. If you just go search in there, Civil Engineering Academy, you can find these. But one of the things I really liked is when you can scan these and you can meet the instructor for each chapter, and they kind of give their own introduction to the chapter. I think that's pretty neat.
Thank you.
Like you mentioned, there's flashcards. You can provide feedback. There's errata. Meet the author, quizzes, searches, unit conversions, and then you can jump into like tutoring or anything in that nature. So I think that's kind of cool too. So I imagine that these codes, these TAR codes, will eventually find themselves also in the new books. I think last time we talked, they weren't in the newest editions of the depth manuals. Is that correct?
That is correct. The reason they are not in the part of the depth manual, so we were going to include them. So our plan was to release the depth books sometime this year. I mean, actually, originally we wanted to release them last year. With the pandemic, it got delayed. And they were going to come sometime this year, but it takes time to establish all those codes. So once the NCS advanced changing this exam to the CBT in 2022. Originally, it was going to be 2023. So it would have helped us that additional time to add all these things. So now, as soon as we realized, so this exam is advancing and we don't have many exam opportunities to have people to use this book, so we rushed it. And as part of it, we did not include this AR features for the depth books.
Okay.
But our plan is we were thinking about creating an extra sheets and distributing as a separate one later on.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the depth books that are being released right now will be available for School of PE students in the courses that you're providing. Is that
right? That is correct. Yes.
Okay. Well, cool. So, and then eventually, imagine when things in 2022, when things get released with the spec and things of that nature, you'll probably release that to a bigger audience.
That is correct. Then, it depends on how the syllabus come out. So, we will be, refining it to fit for the new syllabus.
Lots of changes coming. So, I mean, I guess that's the beauty of trying to provide test prep material and being tied to the NCES is that you always have to adjust when they do. So that's always fun.
Yeah.
Can I briefly talk about, and I'm just looking at the AMPE Civil Guidebook. how did you determine what you wanted to cover for the table of contents? Because I notice in this book that it's basically covering what's in the specification. But like we just mentioned, those specs always change. And a lot of times when people develop a resource like this, they try to make it, I don't know, future-proof, I guess you would say. So if the specs do change, do you find that you'll be updating this book, or are you trying to make it future-proof, or is it pretty tied to what the spec is when NCES releases those, I guess is my question.
Yeah. So one thing is our students, as you all also know, they refer to the NCS syllabus while they're preparing, right? So we always try to tie the material with the syllabus. So that's why we decide to follow the syllabus for the books organization. So as you mentioned, that's the challenge. When NCS changes the syllabus, we have to be ready to change the book. Fortunately, we have established a process. We can make those changes quickly. We have a big pool of instructors, and they're ready to jump in. And also, since we separate, each topic based on the specialty, so we feel like when NCS changes syllabus, we can also change quickly and bring the book to the new standards. That's what the goal is.
So let's go back to these instructors. How did you develop that relationship with these instructors? Is that just started at the Ohio State, or these are relationships that you've built just over time? I think it's pretty neat that you've got that.
Yeah. So I'm really happy, for the instructors that we have been working with. And most of them who started with us back in 2004, they're still teaching for us. And one thing I've noticed from our instructors is their passion also for teaching and helping fellow engineers. So that kind of matched with our goals and their goals. So that's why they have been. It's not like they're doing it for just money-making purpose. So they're fulfilling their passion and then helping fellow engineers. And they have been with us, even though they have their own full-time jobs and all that. So they continue to help us teaching and writing these books, all those things.
That's fantastic. Vinod, what's been the biggest challenge in creating these? Is there a lot?
That's a good question. The main thing is it would have been a challenge if we didn't have the bigger pool instructors. That challenge is not there for us. So that's a fortunate thing. So the other main challenge is meeting a schedule. So as I mentioned earlier, most of our authors of our books are our instructors. So they have full-time jobs and they also teach for us. So we need to be sensitive about the availability of their time, and we work around their schedules. So that is our biggest challenge, honestly. They still try to, they also have their family time too, right? So we have to make sure that we balance with them along that, and they have been very accommodative. So that's the main challenge that we see as an item.
That's awesome. I guess my other question then is is there anything that you would do differently in preparing these? It sounds like you got a pretty good system in how you did this. So
yeah, we started in 2018, and first 1 year, 1.5 years has been a learning experience for us, how to put a process, developing tools. We have developed our internal tools to make a smooth process. That's what the first 1.5 years was, and then now it's going in a process. So everyone knows what the role is, and it's going fine now.
That's fantastic. That's great. I'm curious, what can we expect in the future from School of PE?
So what can you expect there? We will continue to put our grade books for other exams. So right now there are so many other books in the pipeline, like a Power and other FE exams, and also the question booklets we are working on, because even though we have the full review manuals or review guides, So some people are asking for question booklets, so we are working towards them. So those are all coming. Several of them will be coming this year. As I said, we have established a process now. It's a kind of a manufacturing plant. So we just have to keep adding more products. So yeah, there are several of them coming this year.
That's awesome. You're ready to churn out the books now. You got the process in place. Yes. That's fantastic. I guess a fun question. I mean, I'd like to ask, what advice you might give someone that's pursuing their licensure? Now that you've been in this position, you have a passion for teaching. What are some tips you would give to somebody that's either hearing this and starting for the first time, or even as a repeat taker and wants to get over this hurdle?
Okay, well, good question. The PE license is very important in every engineer's career. Let me put it that way. So having a PE license opens up, your career options. You can become a specialist or establish your own engineering consulting business. So, it also protects you during industry downsizing. Having this licensure, allows you to go as far as your initiative and your talent will take you. So industry will always look at you having a PE license when there is a downsizing and those things. So having that licensure will always get will be in the priority to keep those people in their business.
I fully agree. I just think having your license it not only sets you apart, but it's kind of a springboard to the rest of your life, and will help you advance or move around or start your own consulting business, whatever it is. So.
Sure. Regarding, you mentioned, you asked about the repeat exam takers. Mm-hmm. My suggestion is don't give up. Okay, so you fail once doesn't mean that you're not knowledgeable or anything. Again, a lot of these people prepare for their exams while having the full-time jobs, right? And yes. Some of them think about after 5 years, 10 years, they might have family, kids. So there's so much time to be balanced. So it is not like you don't have a knowledge, you fail. It's probably because of a lot of other commitments. So don't give up, keep fighting. There are so many people who do not pass, and then they pass eventually. So keep trying. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I actually interviewed somebody that took the exam in their 60s and was finally able to pass, but they had come from another country and just wanted to get that licensure, and he's probably looking at retirement here in a few years, but there's there's a personal development and personal passion of getting this license too. Sure. It doesn't matter what stage you are in your civil engineering career. So that's good.
When I go and teach on-site class, online we do teach, it's different. But when you teach on-site, I see, I have seen people who are about to retire, and then they're still attending and they pass. And one of the students I met, who was about to retire in the upper 60s, and he asked, why you are taking now? He said, my daughter challenged me. I should get PE before I retire. So that's why I'm taking it.
Great.
He did pass. He came to the classes and he did pass. So.
That's awesome. I love those stories, and they're very motivational. So if you're struggling to get through this, there's many people in your shoes. Don't give up. Register for the next one and keep going. Yeah. Definitely good advice.
Yeah. Another question I hear from people, I have been out of college for 10 years, 15 years. Do you think I should take the exam? Yes, absolutely, yes. So there is nothing like a age or something like you are restricted or you cannot do. So, so many of people I have seen, they have been out for 15 years, 20 years. So they still pass the exam.
Yeah, that's great advice. Well, I guess that kind of answers what's the best advice you've ever received, either in starting this business or in helping others. Is there any other good advice in general you might have?
Yeah. I told you earlier, as part of my passion for teaching and helping fellow engineers. So that's how I started the business. But as during the business, as part of the business, so the best advice I actually ever received was from Michael Lindbergh. So you know who Michael Lindbergh is, right? He authored so many books for exam preparations. And you know that they are our competitors in our business. So even though we were competitors in this field, we had a very good friendly relationship. Actually, not just me and him, our families have very good friendly relationships.
That's great.
And I appreciated his contribution to the industry, and he also appreciated my contribution to the industry. And one time, when we were talking, he said, since we have so many instructors teaching for us, he suggested that we should be looking into that. Until that point, we were doing only review classes. So he said, since you have so many instructors, he suggested that we should be looking into preparing our own question banks and books. So that was my inspiration. One thing he mentioned was, even for the review courses, that one thing he said amazed him how we are doing is, and he used this exact word. He said, Vinod, you found a code to break that you are able to do, so many classes with so many instructors. He said that we struggled and so many other organizations struggled. He said, I don't know how you broke it. Continue the same thing, even your book preparation and question bank preparation, use those resources and prepare them. So that was actually, until that point, we were not even thinking about going to publication. So that was my inspiration to start the publication division. So in a couple of years, we have published 7 books and several question banks with thousands of questions. So I think you know that he's now retired.
Yes.
And we are hoping to fill that gap for that industry.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's great. That's a great story. Michael Lindbergh, I mean, he's kind of been the go-to source for the civil engineering reference manual. It's been kind of the Bible when preparing for this. And there's a lot of other resources out there too. And I think what I pride Civil Engineering Academy on is that we are open to pointing people to what resources are out there and available for engineers to study from. And you've got good stuff. Michael Lindbergh, he's retired now, but his book is still pretty good too. And so there's a lot of ways that people can find material to help them prepare. But I like what you're doing. If people do want the resources there, we have a link at civilengineeringacademy.com/SOPE. This is for School of PE. So civilengineeringacademy.com/SOPE takes you over to the site, and you can go check out all the resources there. Vinod, I'd like to know if you had all the knowledge in the world, what's something that you would like to take part of in the world of engineering to make the world a better place?
Okay. Well, I'm always into these technologies, okay? Mm-hmm. That's why you see even the AR, VR, all these things we are trying to do. So I know if there's something resources are available, unlimited money available to do anything. Mm-hmm. So developing a chip to put in a human body. Wow. So that automatically downloads and keep all the knowledge you need to be in the profession. Okay.
That would be great.
I'm sure it will come one day. I'm sure. I don't know if I will be there, but I'm hoping that I could see those things coming. So I mean.
Hey, then you'd be the subject matter expert in all 5 depth categories.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Who knows? The way technology is advancing so fast, it would not be a surprise if that stuff hits. So that's great. Well, is there any last piece of guidance, and also could you share with us how our audience could connect with you if they had questions or wanted to reach out to you about anything? So is there any last piece of guidance and the best way to get a hold of you could share with us?
Yeah. So actually, it's not only connecting with me. Thanks for asking that question. So, connections is very important, not only the external people, even within the organization as well. When you establish connections with people within your organization, you become increasingly valuable to the people running it. It's also really important to nurture the talent of others, especially other engineers within your company. So even though I'm a founder and a president for the company, I get mixed with my colleagues. And then even in my other practicing profession, I used to help the younger engineers. So that's something I actually enjoy. And if anyone in our audience need to reach out to me, the best way is through my LinkedIn account by searching my name, Vinod Dega. They can connect with me. And I always love to help young engineers. And I'm sure that some of your audience would be experienced engineers as well. My suggestion to them also, help other younger engineers to succeed in their profession.
Great advice. Well, I appreciate you jumping on. This has been a fun journey to hear about how these resources are developed, where kind of you're headed. These QR codes, I know that's a whole separate ball game and technology that you've got going on. So it's just fun to kind of catch up with that, know what's going on and kind of where you're going. So appreciate you jumping on. Like I said, if anybody needs these or wants to check out School of PE's material, go check it out, civilengineeringacademy.com/SOPE. You'll be directed there and you can connect with School of PE. So thanks, Vinod, for joining me.
Thank you, Isaac. Thanks for doing all these things, helping fellow engineers, making your contribution to the engineering community. That's very nice of you. I truly appreciate that.
Hey, no problem. All right. Thanks, Vinod. We'll see you next time. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that interview with the School of PE president, Vinod. I enjoyed it. It was fun to hear the background of how these books are developed. We'll definitely do some review videos on those materials when we get them to check them out, do a little bit of a deeper dive in them, find out some pros and cons for you guys because I want to make sure it's a good resource for you. But definitely give Vinod a thank you. Go reach out to him on LinkedIn if you want to, or connect on Twitter if he has an account there. I haven't even looked that up, but hopefully you learned a little bit about the passion he has about helping engineers. And at Civil Engineering Academy, we just really enjoy, referencing material that would be helpful for any student of civil engineering. So obviously we provide our own resources as well. We talked about Michael Lindbergh. If you go to civilengineeringacademy.com/PPI, you can go check out their resources. And if you want School of PE, go check out their resources, civilengineeringacademy.com/SOPE, and you can go check out these new books. They're pretty good. I like them. They're modern takes on the material, colored. Got some example problems in there. They use those total AR codes, which are kind of fun to use. Definitely your head needs to be in studying problems for sure, but definitely a good resource to check out. So go do that. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the interview, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye. What? So